Welcome to another edition of Muddy River News This Week. I'm David Adam, and joining me today is the 12th president of Western Illinois University in Macomb and Moline, Guiyou Huang. How'd I do?
Very well.
Good. We've been practicing.
Yes.
Even before we got started, we've been practicing. Anyway, welcome to Quincy.
Well, thank you so much. Great to be here.
Anyway, you're the 12th president of the school, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk a little bit about, to introduce people to you, your background before you got into, being the presidents at colleges and all. You went to school in Beijing?
I went to two places for college in China. One is Beijing grad school. The other is my undergraduate degree program in a province called Shandong. The unique thing about that location is the birthplace of Confucius. That's my stick to claim.
Do you have any great sayings from him that you use?
I use occasionally. I'm not particularly a Confucius fan, but occasionally I would quote him.
Okay.
Yes, only the good ones I could quote.
Well, of course, you wouldn't want to use any of the bad ones. So, but you eventually came to this country and got your doctorate at Texas A&M.
Texas A&M College Station. Yeah.
Right. And so, what led to you coming to the United States and continue your education here?
That's a great question. We don't have 2 hours. I left China in a politically very tumultuous year, a very difficult time. I wanted to do a doctoral degree at Beijing University. That was the plan. Then somebody influenced me such that you should study American literature in America. So that's, in a nutshell, was the explanation I came to Texas.
And you were an English teacher, is that correct?
I have been a professor of English since 1983.
Okay.
A teacher of English in colleges.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, not only you went to Texas A&M, but you've been all over.
I have. Yeah.
Several colleges in Pennsylvania. You've been to LSU Alexandria. Now I have to check my notes. Grand Valley State. Another school in Vermont. Another school in Florida. For all the different places you've been to, how do you end up in little old Macomb?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I have been. I worked at 7 different colleges in this country, lived in 7 states. I would say 8 if you count Pennsylvania twice. I lived in China in 5 different cities and provinces. So that's my trajectory for my personal life. There are a lot of ironies in my lifetime, both professional and personal. By irony, I mean things I did not expect to do that I did.
Such as?
So I worked in, I'm not a Catholic, I worked in a Catholic university, right?
Is that St. Thomas?
St. Thomas in Miami, exactly. I never was in the military, but I was a honorific brigadier general at a senior military college in Vermont, right?
Okay.
Never thought I would go to college, and I ended up being a college president, right? So I have worked at public universities, religious and non-religious, military, non-military, domestic, and foreign.
So you're very well-rounded, I guess.
In that regard, I am. And so when this opportunity became available, became known, I thought it was a good fit. But some people educated me about the university too, and convinced me that this would be a good fit. And I had been a chancellor or president for several years before that, so I have experience.
Right.
I was aware of the challenges and opportunities of WIU. I thought I could be a good president, effective, helping the university grow, become even better and stronger. So here I am.
Here you are. Well, you started, January 1st of 2021?
Exactly, 18 months ago. Yeah.
18 months ago?
Yeah.
How have the first 18 months been? I guess I've always felt when someone takes a new job, you kind of get a little, like about a 6-month window where you can't really do anything wrong. You can sort of feel your way around. Now that you've been there 18 months, do you feel like you're starting to set your path?
I think so. I mean, first thing I know, people talk about a honeymoon on a new job. I never think of it, number one. When I do, actually, if I do not think of the honeymoon as many other people do.
Okay.
So the first few months is not my honeymoon. I consider the time I was appointed and before I start That was the honeymoon.
All right.
You can be happy without any responsibility. You can only be happy because you have a new job.
Absolutely.
Right? So that was my honeymoon. I came out of COVID in Pennsylvania. So I was a COVID president there, then COVID president here. So with experience, I wasn't flustered or scared. So that was the good thing, and was able to hit the ground running. In my own opinion, anyway, to do a lot of things, since the first day. Good examples. I always met with the people in person since day one. Has been like that for 18 months, right? So I did feel very positive about the university. I do even more so now, because we did a lot of good things, overcame a lot of challenges, but has been a good 18 months for me on a personal and professional level.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the fact that you were the president at Edinburgh before you came here, and were dealing with COVID. You
Correct.
show up to Western Illinois, you're dealing with COVID. Can you talk a little bit about how COVID has affected education worldwide and how it affected Western Illinois in particular?
Yeah, great question. No question about its effect upon mental health, upon morale, upon the work environment we are all in higher ed in particular, and certainly on the modality of instruction, right? Now, on a very micro level, you will see what COVID did in terms of pedagogy, in terms of instructional design and delivery, right? Now, some skeptics about online education, for example, I think there are fewer of those skeptics now, because they all know how to teach online, deliver a good education.
They are forced to learn how to teach online.
Exactly. So technology, the important lesson we learned, we've always known it, but the very important lesson we relearned is the importance of technology in education today. You can deliver education simultaneously in the classroom while also teaching students in South Africa or China, because you receive simultaneous education because of the availability of technology. Technology made a critical difference during COVID. Without it, the quality, the availability of education would have been significantly disrupted. With it, we're able to manage education with a minimal disruption. This is true for WIU, true for all institutions that are affected by COVID.
Well, you've talked a lot about in your many of your speeches that you've given in your 18 months, and your inauguration and your State of the Union address that you gave. You talked about the importance of an international education.
I have,
and that you're not necessarily saying, I need to bring students to Macomb. You need to bring Macomb to those students.
Correct. We are doing both. That's very true. We have a record high number of international students on campus. Between 800 and 900. That's really a great achievement for the university. At the same time, by internationalization or globalization, I don't mean the trade sense of it. I mean the intellectual sense of it, right? So globalization of knowledge, globalization of the way we disseminate knowledge. So we can deliver American education or American style education to a student in Mongolia. Stanford did that. We are doing that too, right? So education at all levels has become globalized to a large degree, right? To a large degree. WIU has been very effective in delivering online education. I mentioned the online campus is slowly enlarging, slowly expanding.
I was going to say, how many online, how many students, I guess, let's break it down. How many students overall? You said around 7,500, is that what you told me?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, of those 7,500, how many of them are in Macomb? How many of them are in Moline? And how many of them are online?
So Macomb has most of the students, the bulk of the students. Moline about 900, a little over 900. Then in between is online students. Okay. I'm assuming it's about 20%. 20% of our students take classes fully online. Some are graduate programs, some are undergrad programs. So in between those three campuses, we have a total of 7,500 students as of last year, the last academic year.
Let's talk about some of the things that are going on with your campus. One of the big things is, I believe I read that you're going to start construction of a new performing arts center.
Yes.
Tell the viewers what they can expect. I think, and my first question is, what do you get these days for $89 million?
Great question. Yeah, I know. For $89 million, you can get something, right? We are grateful to the state, to the governor, to the legislature for supporting this. However, we have not had a building built on the WIU campus for over 40 years, or nearly 50 years. For us, this represents momentum, a new building, a new opportunities for our students, parents, and the residents of Western Illinois, the entire region. We hope to be able to break grounds again sometime between the summer and the fall. It's $89 million that we received. The challenge is, the dollar that we need to build this thing, right? So I'm hopeful that we can work with the state, with our board of trustees, with the local politicians, local communities, to find the extra dollars to build a grand building that can be enjoyed by our students, faculty, and the community. So the university is here to stay. And this new building represents a new day for the university, a new opportunity, employment opportunity.
Sure.
Curricular opportunity for many, many people. And that means we do have a good future for the university in the next few years. We are still working on the details of this project. Many people are involved, and hopefully we'll see something under the way in the near future.
Well, your name's going to be plastered across the front of it. Is that right?
Your name
or my name too? I guess it depends on how much I donate.
Exactly. If you donate, I'll take the envelope today.
I've been around you college guys before. I know how that works. You can have your name on anything for the right price.
Illinois, not when you are live.
Oh, well, that's a tough. That's a tough call.
That is a tough one, right?
One of the things I saw in your State of the Union speech was that you made the pledge or the goal to raise enrollment 3% every year until I think it was 2027.
Correct.
That's a pretty ambitious goal. How do you pull that off?
I do agree. No, actually, so what you just said. Was a departure from an original goal of 10,000. Now, because high school graduates, the numbers have dwindled significantly. All universities are anticipating an enrollment cliff around 25, 26, right? So we have been adjusting to that goal. We think 9,000 would be a reasonable goal. It's not a mandate; it's a goal. We have to set a goal. Or marching towards that goal. Now, to achieve that goal would be 3% increase per year. But we are saying 2027, but it could be 2028. Really, people say 27 because our university's strategic plan, the current plan, ends on 2027.
Okay.
So that's an important landmark point. So to achieve that goal, we need new resources, physical resources, human resources, and dollars, all of those things. Certainly we need to explore and use new markets. By new markets mean the ones we have had so far, we'll keep them, but we'll branch into newer areas. We mentioned international, we mentioned online, we mentioned territory that we have not been in before, whether they are surrounding states or other countries.
Okay.
That explains why you see a real surge in the number of international students we have been admitting and bringing to the campus. So I'm still hopeful that we'll reach a goal, but the goal enables us to move forward, not backward. And the goal will make us actually larger than we are already today. I'm hopeful that will happen. So the other piece that's not mentioned, you didn't mention, is the student retention piece.
Okay.
So to achieve a larger goal, it's not just the recruitment and the enrollment. It's also enrollment management, meaning retain all the students we have on campus until they graduate. If that retention number changes upward significantly, it will be easier for us to achieve that goal.
What is your retention rate right now?
Right now we hover around 67, 8 to 71, 72. Again, that range changes every year,
Sure.
right? So that's why you don't have a definite number. However, we want the other goal in terms of enrollment management is the increase by 1 percentage point of retention rate. So year over year, 1%.
Right.
If WIU can achieve consistently year over year 72, 73, or better yet 75 or 6%, you will see an increase in enrollment altogether. If this happens consistently over a decade, that's 10%. These are our goals.
Right.
Retention goals go together with the enrollment goals.
Before we went on the air here, we talked a little bit about the fact that most people think of Western Illinois in Macomb, but you've got a growing, thriving campus in Moline as well. You talked about the fact that you need to, the international student and the online student, but you're also branching out. You literally now have 2 thriving campuses.
Correct.
How much time do you get to spend in Moline?
Oh, I spend a lot of time in both places, right? I do travel to alumni events, conferences. I spend most of my time in in Macomb.
Sure.
A good amount of time in Moline. I believe I am perhaps the person that has spent more time in Moline than others. I spend at least 1 full day in Moline per month, often 2 or 3 days, because I get to meet people, the Chamber of Commerce folks, legislators, the mayor, and other organizations, right? Fellow presidents in the colleges,
right,
in the quad cities, right? Every month I would be there at least a couple of times, for sure 1 full day of work there. I don't think that happened before. I have been very consistent in making my presence at the quad cities campus every month. So, and I think people appreciate that because I get to talk to people, students, faculty. Last time I was there a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a gardener. We spent some time together. She was explaining to me all the plants she was planting, she was taking care of.
Okay.
Right, so it was very nice. Penny is her name. So I was able to see people in different buildings. It's a grand campus. It's a beautiful campus.
What are the biggest challenges that you have as a university president, and have those? I mean, it's always enrollment,
Correct.
And retention.
Yeah.
But what are your priorities? What are the things what are the things that keep you up at night the most?
Yeah, it's a great question. So financial health is always an important topic, right? The state has been more generous supporting the university, but still the university needs to be a little more self-reliant in terms of revenue generation.
Well, I thought I saw that your budget was increased just last year by about $5 million. Or so. Was that right?
$5 million for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the year just ended, there was an increase of roughly $2.5 million. For the new fiscal year that started, a week ago, another $2.5 million. It is an increase. However, the budget is still smaller. The state budget is still smaller than a decade ago, or 2 decades ago.
Right.
Yeah. And now, of course, our revenue generation depends on 2 large sources: state support and enrollment. State support is more under the control of the state, of course.
Of course.
Enrollment, we have more control over. That explains one of the priorities that I have: recruit, what I call the 3R principle: recruit, retain, the revenue. Easy to teach, easy to remember. You recruit a lot of students, you keep them here until they graduate, then you grow revenue. The purpose of growing revenue is just a means to enhance morale, to enhance benefits and salary for the faculty and staff, right? To ensure the robust growth of the university to be better and larger, not otherwise. So the priority you ask, we discussed enrollment and retention. We also alluded to internationalization or globalization. Another important priority Darcy and I have been working on, she and I in particular, is what I call the institutional distinctiveness piece. How do I, along with my colleagues, make WIU more stand out, or more stand apart, more differentiated than fellow peer universities.
Okay.
So that when they think of WIU, they think of a certain good thing they must have through only WIU.
Right.
Right.
What
So
are those things?
exactly. So we want to establish programs of distinction and distinctiveness. So we have law enforcement, agriculture, cybersecurity, supply chain, education, broadcasting and journalism, all pretty well-known programs. I want to strengthen these programs without punishing smaller or under-enrolled programs. It's one way to grow, right? Now, those are only academic programs. We want to increase their national and even international profile. At the same time, there are things we do that are distinctive. Cost guarantee program we have, right? WIU started that program in the state. We want to have a enhanced, dignified campus, the beautification of it. That would be distinctive. Then we also have many service programs. We have emphasis upon rural education. We have a IIRA, Illinois Institute for Rural Affairs. We have a new center, a Seymour Center for Rural Education and Policy Research. Nobody else has, right? Now, those are distinctive.
Right.
I can name other things. In my mind, all these things converge would make the university more distinctive and more stand out, right? But it will take time to build these things, right? So, and we are doing many other things too. How do we brand ourselves? How do we market our programs, promote our faculty and staff? So, again, I can spend many hours discussing this. We have thought a lot about it. But ultimate goal is to make the university more attractive and better known. It's a solid university already, but even better. Therefore, more students and family want to join us. Us being a Navy of the world, right?
Yeah.
Go to WIU.
Last question for you. You could probably, as you said, you could go on and on for hours about all the things you want to talk about at the university. But there's got to be a point where you take off the president's cap and go. What do you do? What else do you like to do when you're not being the president of WIU?
Yeah, I wish I had more time to do the things. All right, I have two kids, and one 21, one 11. So I like to spend some time with them every now and then. Though George is not very often available.
I think you said your oldest is at Rice University.
He just graduated.
Okay.
He's starting work for Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
Very excited. In Dallas, Texas. So the 11-year-old is still at home. She likes to hang around with me. She travels with me, just like her brother. So that's one thing. I find time. I used to fish, used to swim, and I think I have stopped doing because I don't have the ocean to swim in anymore. Yeah. So I don't get the seafood.
Maybe there needs to be a pool as part of that performing arts center.
I think so. You and I together can build it. We'll put a fishing pond in there. I like to cook when I find the time, and for me, for my family, for my guests. So I'm pretty good about cooking all seafood and meats, and several meats. Things like that. I enjoy travel when I can. So I go to alumni events. That's really enjoyable, meeting with a lot of alumni who tell me stories or their experiences at WIU that otherwise you wouldn't hear, not on campus anyway. Alumni that graduated in different fields. I mentioned agriculture, law enforcement, education. Their love of WIU, their passion for the success of this university really is contagious. Really gives me a lot of inspiration, and that's always enjoyable. It's work, but it's enjoyable.
Sure. Yeah.
And then meeting people in Macomb, Moline, whether they are in politics, in government, or in their respective industries, has been a great pleasure as well. You learn all the time.
Thank you for your time today. I hope you have a great stop here in Quincy. I know you got a lot of places to go visit. Has anybody told you where to go for lunch yet? Have you?
I think so. I think we have a Kelly restaurant we are going to.
Kelly's
Yeah, you can't go. You can't go. You can't.
Oh, I don't know.
You can't go wrong.
Oh, really?
with
I trust
Kelly's.
Eric on that one.
Yeah, you've got to trust the people who bring you.
That's
here.
you're right. Yeah.
Thank you
well,
for
thank
your
you. I
time
appreciate
today.
the time. Great questions, and hopefully we'll talk again someday.
I hope so as well. And thank you for joining us today. Be sure to check out this episode at Muddy River News online and previous episodes as well.